finding joy in trials. James 1 verses 2 to 4 presents a profound challenge to believers to find joy in the midst of trials. At first glance, this seems counterintuitive. How can suffering be a source of joy? However, this passage reveals a deep spiritual truth. Trials refine and strengthen our faith, leading us towards spiritual maturity and completeness. Throughout the Bible, we see examples of men and women who endured great trials and emerged stronger, more faithful, and more aligned with God's purpose. The refining process, gold in the fire. To understand why trials are necessary, consider the refining of gold. In ancient times, gold was purified by being placed in intense heat, which melted away impurities and left behind pure metal. Likewise, God allows us to go through fiery trials, not to destroy us, but to remove anything that hinders our faith. Malachi 3 verse 3 says, "He will sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. He will purify the Levites and refine them like gold and silver." God refines us through trials so that we emerge stronger and purer in our faith. Joseph's trials and triumph. One of the clearest examples of perseverance through trials is Joseph. He was sold into slavery by his brothers, falsely accused by Potiphar's wife, and imprisoned for years. Yet, through each trial, God was preparing him for something greater. Instead of becoming bitter, Joseph remained faithful. Eventually, he was elevated to second in command in Egypt, saving countless lives, including his own family. Genesis 50 verse 20 summarizes his perspective. "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." Joseph's story teaches us that trials are not the end of our story, they are stepping stones to greater things. Trials are necessary for growth. James 1 verse 3 tells us that the testing of our faith produces perseverance. This means that trials are not just random events, they have a purpose. Without resistance, faith remains weak. Consider David, who faced many hardships before becoming king. He was pursued by Saul, forced into hiding, and lived in uncertainty. Yet, through these trials, God shaped him into a man after his own heart. Psalm 34 verse 19 reminds us, "The righteous person may have many troubles, but the Lord delivers him from them all." Endurance leads to maturity. James 1 verse 4 states that perseverance must finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. Trials teach us endurance, which leads to spiritual maturity. Even Jesus himself endured trials. Hebrews 5 verse 8 says, "Son though he was, he learned obedience from what he suffered." If Jesus, the Son of God, was perfected through suffering, how much more do we need trials to grow? Choosing joy in hardship. James does not say we should enjoy suffering, but rather we should consider it joy because of what it produces in us. Every trial is an opportunity to trust God, grow stronger, and experience His faithfulness. So when trials come, let us remember Joseph's endurance, David's patience, and Jesus' obedience. We are being refined, strengthened, and prepared for something greater. Romans 8 verse 28 reassures us, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose." Instead of despairing in trials, let us rejoice, knowing that God is working through them to complete His good work in us.